Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class. So I'm getting ready for our Stress to Superhuman 3-day live event, which I'm super excited about. Hence the weird random post-it notes behind my plant. Because this is how I keep track of who has signed up. And I just love practicing gratitude for each woman that has chosen to step into journey with me. So I'm very excited for this 3-day event. We are going to focus on transcending stress in order to expand exponential success. Really, letting go of some of the achiever behaviors that drive from a place of anxiety. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we are burning the ships and meditating on a mountain to wait for results to come to us. But what it does mean is that we come from a place of peace. We can slow down our decision-making skills. We can learn to tune into our intuition just a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. We're going to be hosting that for 3 days here next week, at least the time of recording this. We'll be in the middle of the event at the time of recording. But I've been really thinking about next steps, in my business and in my life and what I want to create in 2023. And I have to be really raw and real here. I'm glad this year is almost over. I don't think I've ever had, I've had hard years. That's not true, but this has been a really challenging year, personally and professionally. There's been deep heartache. There have been relationships lost. There have been things I wish I did differently, things I wish I didn't do differently. I mean, there's a whole mixed handbag of emotions and things, but I'm happy that this year is ending. And I am happy that we are stepping into a new year because I feel like I've taken the lessons I've learned and I've applied them to be a better human, to be a better mom, to be a better coach, to be a better leader. And that's not a responsibility that I take lightly. I mean, the women that I get to guide in my world, it is important to me that they feel seen and heard, and also that I get to be fully in integrity to what it is I say I want to create. And, I think there's a lot of talk in the online space about being authentic, and being fake authentic is something I've heard recently. And that's the thing about authenticity, is the only person that can really judge whether or not they're being authentic is the person that is being that. It's like the question I often receive from clients, which is, how do I know if it's my intuition or fear speaking to me? How do I know, if that's the voice of me or my inner knowing, or sabotage? And the answer is, if it feels true to you, then that is your intuition, right? If that's your experience, then that's your experience. So if you feel like you're being authentic and you really look around at everything and the way you've showed up, and in that moment, based on the energetic information you have about yourself, if it feels like you've been authentic, then it's authentic to you in that moment. Maybe you don't have more information that can guide you in a different way after that. Maybe there's something, beyond that you're meant to learn as a lesson or whatever, but it's really nobody's job to question whether or not you're being authentic, except you, because who's the judger? And I see it a lot in the online space too, especially around spirituality, where it's questioning whether or not people have done the work, or how much work they've done, or if, they really live the work versus talk about the work, and basically questioning their level of embodiment based on what they choose to share. And again, that's not our job. It's not our job to judge what the work looks like in someone's life, what their level of embodiment is. And I think we've all been guilty of thinking, well, the work needs to look this way. And if they were embodied enough, then they would be posting things like this. Or if they were authentic, then they wouldn't have had a human error and a mistake where they made a judgment call that wasn't the best. But, I think at the end of the day, like, again, who are we to judge? Who are we to judge what someone's level of authenticity or whether or not they're operating from their intuition or their level of embodiment really is? It's their job to look within. It's their job to hold the mirror up. And the way that the mirror is held up to them is revealed in their circumstances. It's revealed in the feedback that they're getting in their world as a way to be curious and take a look at all of that. So anyway, all of this to say, there's been a lot of really tough lessons this year. Lessons I didn't want to learn. Some of them I had to learn again. And, it's hard. The lessons like that are hard. And so I'm at a place now, at least in coaching, and I used to say this all the time when I was a personal trainer, but you have to know the rules to know how to break them. And I'm going to give an example from personal training. And that example is, let's say you're doing walking lunges. Okay, this actually happened to me one time. So I think it's a really good example. You're doing walking lunges and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, you're doing that wrong, right?" And you're like, "I actually changed the form to recruit different muscle fibers by changing the angle." So one time I was doing these walking lunges. Now, typically walking lunges are, your chest is upright. You might do them with dumbbells at your side. Some people do arm movements and twists and bicep curls and stuff like that. This particular movement was a variation of the walking lunge, which is a foundational, movement. And the variation of this was a walking duck lunge, it was called, where you stay really close to the ground. You actually don't come up out of the lunge. So the entire time, if you can imagine it, it looks like you're like a walking duck. You're staying engaged the entire time. Your legs are friggin' on fire when you're doing this move. And I had someone say, you're doing walking lunges wrong. And I was like, I'm not trying to do walking lunges. Because I know the form of a walking lunge, that is why I'm doing the variation of a walking lunge, which is this walking duck version. So I was looking for different muscle fibers to be recruited. I was looking for a different angle, and I was looking for more time under tension with my legs. Thus, I did not come up out of the lunge walk. And so I say that to say, you need to know the rules to know how to break them. And I'm really at a point in my coaching career where I feel like I have done a lot of different things. 14 years ago when I first started coaching, I had free challenges and fitness 5-day this and 7-day detoxes and nutrition plans and 8-week running programs, all the things. I've done free things, I've done paid things, I've written ebooks. I've literally done so many different things. I've done high ticket. I've done extremely luxurious retreat experiences that are global. We've done a lot of different things, through my company. And I'm finally at a place where I feel like I've walked the path. And I'm ready for what's next, and I'm ready to write my own rules. I feel like I've done a lot of things the way I've been taught to do them, and I needed to do that. I needed to go through almost like an initiation, right? This is how you do high ticket. This is how you do retreats. This is how you do a free challenge. This is how you do X, Y, and Z. And you've got to walk through that to try things, right? The best way to learn is to try, and knowledge is useless if we're not applying it experientially. And so I'm excited because 2023 feels like a year I'm going to be doing things very, very differently. It's from having walked the path for this length of time. It's from trying to do things from the space of what I've been taught, which doesn't necessarily make them right. It's just simply all that you know. And now that I know all of that, because I know better, I get to do better. And I get to figure out what feels aligned and authentic and in integrity to me, not just this is how you do it and this is what your mentor says and how to walk through it. So I think we're all always ever going deeper into that. If you're a woman in leadership and you are also a student of learning, which most of us are, you're going to constantly be reevaluating because that's what growth does. It has you reevaluate, reassess, and then make it better and fucking up level and do better. So this year, moving forward, I'm in a season of breaking rules, and it feels really good because it's not from a place of, well, let me do the opposite of what the market's doing. It's not from the space of reactivity. It's from settled in learning. It's from deep integration. It's from massive upheaval. And now I get to apply everything I've learned and integrate that into next steps, which I'm so excited to do. And so how this looks for me is I'm actually creating a program that is brand new, and I'm not charging my normal rates. And the reason is because I've never done this program before, so it doesn't feel fair to charge a full rate just because I know people would pay it. I want to be really committed to women coming into my world and women being led by this work and saying, that's it? That's all the investment is? I feel like this program is worth 5 times what I've paid. And I want that to be an industry norm. I want that to be what people say about my programs. So that's number 1, which is really just making sure that I am over-delivering by way of what I'm teaching and the value that I'm offering inside. Number 2 is take me off the fucking pedestal. If you've put me or any other coach or any celebrity on a pedestal, you will be disappointed by their humanness. I promise you this, because it's going to feel like they're not everything you thought they were. Yeah, because they're human. Or this isn't what I thought it was. Well, because you're making it about that person or you're trying to be like them. Take them off the fucking pedestal. So that's where my work comes in as a leader, which is in saying 2 things. One is, I can tell you to take me off the pedestal, but it's also not my responsibility to continue to tell you that if you continue to put me there. How you perceive me is your responsibility to work through and unpack. And number 2 is it's about the work. It's not about me. So if we are constantly in relationship to the work and that is our bridge and our touch point, it's not about me. Yes, I am walking with the work. Yes, I do that every day. I always have a coach. I always have a mentor. I do the deep somatic healing work weekly. I have for years. I'd meet with a mentor, and I've actually had at one point 3 different coaches I was working with for healing work. And so I walk with the fucking work, and I journal and I meditate and I do all the things that I talk about in my programs. Absolutely. But this is about the work. It's not about me. It's not about creating mini-me's or replications of me. It's not about this meaning anything about me. You're the one that chose to be here. You're the one that chose to pursue the results, and you're the one that's doing the work to get those results. I am the teacher and I am the guide that can outline that for you through my thought leadership, through my principles, through my values, and all of the things that I've used to get me here. But this is your walk. This is your journey. I'm only the guide in the mirror. And so when women say to me, thank you so much, you've changed my life. Recently, I've just started saying, thank yourself. I'm the mirror, I'm the guide. You chose to do the work though. I didn't do the work for you. You chose to be here. I'm just teaching. So this is about the work. It's not about me. Another thing that I am leaning into around the theme of over-delivering, I'm offering a program, and I've never done this before, that offers lifetime access to live coaching. Not just the self-course, self-paced study part, right? All the modules and the videos and the worksheets and the workbooks and all of the tangible things that I love and are so juicy and you can go back to and revisit. I love all of those things. But what I have found is that life happens. And that's why I want to offer lifetime coaching. So if you sign up I'm creating a new program right now. If you sign up for this program, you're also signing up for lifetime access to coaching. So it's not about, I'm going to get to this in a second. It's not about walking you into the next investment. It's not about getting you to, buy the next program, or creating prerequisites. You can come into this program. It might be the only program you ever buy from me, and you can be there and receive coaching for life as long as this program is active. So I think that's amazing. And life happens, right? So I've had people sign up when I first started doing coaching at a higher level for 12 weeks. And then something would happen, like a life thing, someone dies or they get pregnant or like a huge life change, and it throws them off. And then all of a sudden we've lost those 4 weeks. And in the past, I've just said, hey, we'll push it, we'll pause you, and all that. But then the conversation still comes at the end of 12 weeks. Well, what are we going to do now moving forward? Now, I will say there is something really beautiful about the high touch, high proximity, and high accountability to my one-to-one containers. So those will continue to have, most of my clients sign on for 6 months to a year now, but those will continue to have a timestamp, if you will, where we talk about, are we going to continue working together or not? But with this particular program, I want to offer it at a lifetime coaching because sometimes shit happens. Like you sign up for a program and you think I'm ready to go. And the next week something happens, you can't show up for those calls, or whatever. I don't know. I was part of this 8-week program and that kind of happened to me. And I had to pay to continue to be part of the group, which I did as a membership. But how nice would it have been to know that I could have continued to stay as long as I felt I needed it. And then when I was complete, I could leave or I could stay. I just could get the maximum value out of it for as long as I wanted. And so lifetime access to live coaching feels really important. I also know from doing this work for years that personal development and healing is the mountain with no top. Yes, we are perfectly whole and beautiful as we are, and there's always deeper to go. If you're committed to growth, there's always another edge. And that's exciting to me, but it also means that I get to have support around that. And if there's deeper to go, then I always want to have a coach. I always want to be guided. And so I know that, the first part generally of learning new concepts, where we're really focused on the value that we're learning, right? These new teachings, new concepts. I'm just learning. I'm hearing these things for the first time. I've never applied them. I've never lived them. And so I'm just in the value of absorbing and learning. And then the next phase of that is around the application and the experience of it. How do I take these teachings and these concepts and apply them in my life? How can I practice new ways of being? Where can I apply it? When do I apply it? How does that look for me in my life or in my business? And so the application, and that's probably one of the longer runways, if you will, in this gradient of coaching. And then the last component is the integration, where it feels like it's really landed and you've really embodied a new way of integrating these new concepts and teachings as a way of your life because it becomes who you are and the way you do things. And all of that takes a very long time. And it's a process, you might feel fire hosed at first with new concepts, and then it takes practice to apply them. And then you may need some outside counsel and guidance to integrate them. How can I be coached around this? Where are my blind spots? Are there blind spots? I don't know. So the integration can take some time too, where we're bringing things in for a landing. And so for that reason, it feels really important for me to offer lifetime live coaching inside a program where I don't want to just teach things and I don't want to just coach at you. I want to coach with you and give you enough time to practice embodying this and mastering this as a new way of being in your life with no ongoing membership costs, with no re-enrollment conversations, with no expectation that you're even going to stay in my world. You get what you come for and you can leave when you feel complete. So that feels really important to me. What else did I want to talk about? My business model. I've talked about this last week a little bit, or a couple weeks ago on a previous podcast, but trust your clients' resiliency. Whether you're a leader in a corporate situation or in a corporate circumstance or an entrepreneur, this is also applicable for your team, or if you're in a service-based industry where you have clients. So it's applicable for both. But what I want to say is trust your client's ability to know what they need right now, and trust your client's resiliency. And that's why I've totally changed my business model from an ascension model to a circle. And the ascension model previously is focused on client retention. It's about keeping clients in your world longer, and they can come in at a lower ticket program, and then they can continue to grow with you if that feels aligned, right? But I don't love the energy behind that, because sometimes it can feel like you're just I don't know. I had a mentor once that I felt like this with. I felt like my results were dependent on me staying in their coaching programs. And then it meant that because I was successful in X program, then I would want to buy the next one, or I would stay in their world because of that. And that felt like icky pressure to me, where I felt like suddenly my results weren't mine and that I had to somehow perform, and that, you know, these results meant like, well, see, now you get to like stay in my programs. And it just felt really icky. I know in the past I've heard people talk about too, if there's a re-enrollment conversation coming up, you feel like that person is only present when they're talking about money or re-enrolling you, and that's icky. And so like, let's be better. Let's do sales better. Sales is service. I totally believe that. You're giving people what they want when you sell, or else they wouldn't be reaching out. But let's not be icky about it. Let's not do it that way. Let's trust that our clients come into our world and our orbit knowing what they need and how they need it, and that you have the answer for them based on a particular product in your suite that you might be offering. And it's why I'm diversifying the products that I have in my product suite. And so how this applies to your team is that if you have employees or, a team of people that work under or with you, you can also trust that they know what they need in terms of support, right? And that they can ask for support where they need it, and leadership where they need it. So, I want to do sales differently in that way. And so we've created a circle now where we've got all these products that kind of, come off the edges of the circle, and you can move around the circle in any direction that you want. You can come into the circle anywhere you want to. If you want to come into the Millionaire Mindset and join the meditation membership, great. Maybe that's the only thing that you ever want from me. Maybe then you get curious about the one-to-one container with me. I had a client do that. She was like, I love this meditation membership, and I am totally manifesting working with you one-on-one. She's now a one-on-one client. That can be possible, right? But just because she's a one-on-one client doesn't mean I continue to always sell her the next thing. If she wants it, great. She knows where to find me. She knows where my products are. So I think there's just a smarter, better, classier, compassionate, more loving way to do sales. And I think that's one thing that has left a pretty icky taste in a lot of people's mouths. And once you know better, you get to do better. Speaking to myself, speaking to you, if this is something that's landing for you as well. And that feels really important. It does. Trusting clients, you get to trust them. They don't need to be talked into stuff. Now, there are certain times that I do believe in helping a client work through a fear. I've been there before myself. I remember the first program I invested in. It was $5,000. It was 8 weeks long. And when they told me the price, my mouth dropped. We weren't on a Zoom call. We were on a phone call, and I was just like, oh my God, that's crazy. But really what I was scared of was, will it work for me? Because it felt like a lot of money, and I actually had skin in the game now. It wasn't a free PDF. It wasn't some freebie I downloaded. It wasn't some email sequence that I was trying to glean tastes and appetizers from to learn from. It was actually, a program I had skin in the game in now. Now I have to show up. Now I have to trust myself. Fuck, am I really ready to close the back door on all my excuses? Because now I'm closing that back door when I invest at this level. And so I chose to do that. And I remember though, at the follow-up call, I scheduled a follow-up call with the sales enrollment guy. And I did that because I was procrastinating my yes or no answer. I wouldn't have been on the first phone call, if I'm being honest, if it wasn't already a yes. But I wanted to make sure that it was a yes before I made a rash decision. I scheduled a follow-up call. And on the follow-up call, I started asking all sorts of irrelevant questions. Like, what's inside the program again? And like, are you sure you've worked with clients just like me? But what I was really asking was, can I trust myself? And I'm scared, what if it doesn't work for me? And what I have found about investments is now that I choose to get what I came for, I am always going to get what I came for. Whether it be, I invested in a mastermind that was a business mastermind, but what I got from it were amazing relationships. And that for me was like the biggest value. That for me was worth every penny that I spent. I didn't exactly get the program that I wanted or what I thought I was getting, but I got something better. And because I choose to get what I came for, I always get what I need. And it's perfect. So there's no investment that I make that's ever lost, even if it's just learning more lessons about myself, about what I do want, what I don't want, who I am, how to make investments in a way that feels important and valuable to me. So, I'm just excited for a new year, and I haven't yet landed on a word. I like setting a word for an intention as we step into a new year. This year was about commitment, and commitment looked like going deeper into mastery, going deeper into simplifying my business. And although it happened in a way where parts of my business fell apart, it all happened perfectly. And I chose that. And it's perfect. It's actually what I wanted and what I manifested. And it's funny about manifestation. It doesn't always happen the way you want it to. You're like, hey, I'd really like everything to be like super simple and like not complicate my business. And then, God's like, yeah, let me just clear all this shit out of your way. But I'm going to do it in a way that you did not expect. So yeah, it's been a tough fucking year. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of growth. And I know that I'm a better woman, leader, and a coach for it. And I'm excited to put that into practice and into play for the upcoming year. So I'm curious if you have a word for 2023 yet for yourself. I'll have to share mine maybe on the next episode when it comes to me. But if you have a word, let me know. Tag me on an episode. And maybe there'll be a part 2 to this. I haven't quite decided. But it feels like there's even more, lessons I wanted to share in reflection about this year. And I can take a deeper dive into that. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, an awesome rest of your week. And I'll see you here on the next episode of Literally First Class.
I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon.
Seriously though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.